Today's video is about object-oriented programming, or we can say OOP. By this video, you will get some basic information about what is object-oriented programming, what is class and objects. Here I will be explaining it with real-life examples so that it will stay in your mind, and then I will be explaining it with code. But yes, most of the part is language independent. This topic is very important when it comes to data structures and algorithm. So let's start our video. Object-oriented programming is a programming paradigm based on the concept of object, or we can say it is a programming standard based on the concept of object. So what is object? And when you talk about object and object-oriented programming, you also need to talk about class. Here, you can see a group of cars. Consider each car as objects. So we can name them as object 1, object 2, object 3, and so on. For each car, there will be some state like its brand, register number, its color, its number of door, and so on. And each car or each object have some behavior like start, stop, accelerate, etc. So what we learned, each object have its own state and behavior. In programming language, we can say state as variable or attribute or fields, and behavior as functions or methods. These all objects or cars have same set of functions and same set of attributes. But yes, they are different in their own way. Like object 1 can have brand name as BMW, register number as a random number, color as blue, number of doors, let's say 4, and object 2 can have brand name, register number as again some random number, color as yellow, number of door as 2. Okay, now you know object is an entity which has state and behavior. It is the basic unit of object-oriented programming. That is, both data and function that operate on data are bundled as a unit called object. And this is the class of cars, which is the convenient way to organize these objects. We will go deep into it. But before that, just consider another example, a class of students, where we have 6 students or 6 objects. As you can see on the screen, each student object have name, register number, grade, gender, age, etc. And these have particular values also. And each object can speak, walk, learn. So you know they have state or attribute and behavior or functions. When you think of creating an object, you need to know what kind of attributes and what kind of functions it will have, and a class will specify exactly the same. So a class is a blueprint for an object, or we can say it is a convenient way to organize these objects. So let's look at what the student class will look like in our example. For these objects, the student class will look like this. It has the same set of attributes as the objects like name, register number, grade, gender, and age. But the values for these attributes are not defined. That means a class doesn't refer to any particular object. It doesn't refer to student 1 or student 2 in particular. It refers to this category of students in general. When we create a specific object using this class, then we can specify all the values for these attributes. Class will have these set of functions, and when student 1 uses this function, the function will operate on student 1. When student 2 uses these functions, the functions will operate on student 2. So in brief, we can say class is a blueprint for an object. It will define what an object of the class will consist of and what operations can be performed on such an object. So let's check the programming example of the same student class. This is Eclipse IDE. I'm using Java to show the coding example, and I created a new project named Student App, and I'm going to create a class named Student. So here we have student.java file and a class named Student. Here public is the access specifier, class is the keyword to represent class, and student is the class name. Here first letter of class name must be capital letter. Now in the previous example, I showed you some arguments. I'm using the same as name, which is a string, register number is also string, grade as int, gender as string, and finally age as integer. String, int, etc. are data types. So give that according to your expected values. Now create a function speak. In that method, I will type system.out.println, which is used to print the text we give inside the brackets in double quotes. So I am typing my name is, and then append the value of name with that. As we have to print some more, I am copying it for register number as my registration number is plus reg number. In the next SOP, I am typing I am studying in grade. This attribute after plus will give you the data, which you will get to understand when I run the app. In the next line, I am a plus gender and my age is plus age. We can also write this code in one system.out.println, but for a beginner, it will be very difficult to understand. Now create another class as just say school. I'm checking on public static void main. Then you can see school.java is created with a class and a main function. Inside that, I'm creating an object for student class as student1. So this is the syntax. Class name, object name equals new class name and a semicolon. Using that student1 object, we will call speak function from here. Now let's run the project, but remember we haven't given any values to the attribute. So just check what will be the output. In the console down here, you can see my name is null, my registration number is null, I'm studying in grade 0, etc. As we haven't given any values, the output is with nulls and zeros. Let's solve that by giving values. Here student1.name equals in double quotes John and a semicolon. Whenever we give string, we have to put that in double quotes. Registration number as 01, grade as 5, gender as male, and age as 10. Now let's run the project. Now you can see all the values in the output as my name is John, my registration number is 01, like that. Just create one more object as student2 and give another values, then call speak method for student2. And when I run the project, you can see data of second student is also displayed. Okay, so this was some basics about class and object. I hope this tutorial helped you to get a clear information about class and objects in object-oriented programming. So this channel is all about programming basics and Android tutorials. If you haven't subscribed yet, go and click on the subscribe button. We have a lot to learn after this, like concepts of object-oriented programming, constructors, so on. I will come up with the next video. Thanks for watching.